Hello, I'm Ryan Reyes.
And I'm Dominic Angel. Can you do it again, like just a little bit higher pitched?
Was it? I can't tell if that was meant to fuck with me.
No.
But I'm offended.
But you were like a note lower than you should be.
Hello. Here's something you'll really love.
Poquito, poquito, poquito podcast. Poquito, poquito, poquito podcast.
Hello, I'm Ryan Reyes.
And I'm Dominic Angel.
And together we are exhausted.
Poquito. Yeah, we are exhausted, guys. Poquito podcast.
Explain that in the culture little bit by little bit.
Yeah. Today it's going to be a real little, okay? Let me tell you. We decided to do something a little bit more loose today. It's hot, guys. We're going to keep the energy up. I hope everybody out there is staying cool. Hopefully bear with us, okay? Oh, God. But I'm actually really excited. We went over some of the questions. We wanted to do this. We thought it would be fun. We haven't done something like this in a long time. I haven't been able to like go on live and stuff and connect with the folks. But yeah, we have some questions on Patreon. We have some stuff on Discord. If you ever want to reach out to us, hit us a line. Join the Discord. It's free to join, guys. Without any further ado, we're starting with Patreon, right? Let's get into it.
Yeah. So the first question is from Jose R. Martinez.
Thank you, Jose. Also, shout out to Jose. He comments on a lot of the Patreon posts, all the video uploads. Give him a quick shout out. He's a cool guy.
Does he ever ask about me?
I think he called you a rude name one time because you were saying some dumb things.
What a dick.
So Jose asks, what do y'all think of the upcoming Blue Beetle movie?
Have you?
That's so funny. I was going to ask you guys about it.
Well, here's the thing: is Dominic?
Can I start?
Doesn't like comics.
Can I start? Can I present this in a way without you painting me as a villain?
Okay, but
in
fairness to that comment, what's something that you do like?
Name one thing
you
other
like.
than mustard.
Other than mustard.
Oh, geez.
Masapan. Peanut butter.
Mustard pie.
There you go. Two things, and you're struggling for a third.
Did you say peanut butter?
He said peanut butter. He named like the most generic stuff ever.
I like those things, okay? Oats. Savory oats.
Oh, yeah, you just found that out.
Savory oats, I just found out, are way better than sweet oats. You can make some stir-fry beef and peppers, mix that into some oats with onions. Marron.
That's funny.
It's great. It is great. Give it a shot.
I gotta try that. It sounds good.
Yeah, it's honestly really good. I'll keep saying it. But
so
in terms of listen, I'm not too super into the superhero thing. I will not yuck anyone's yum. I respect everybody and I understand the excitement behind the Blue Beetle. There's a couple things that I got a little bit of an issue with. Why did they wait so long to make the Blue Beetle? At the end of like literally this year, it was like the beginning of when we see that the superhero craze is dying down. So Latinos always got to wait their turn until everybody else gets.
We were in Doctor Strange.
He wasn't a hero, not a superhero,
and also Black Panther.
I don't watch these things, okay?
Yeah, that's what I said.
I don't know, but this was a little bit of an observation, okay? Mm-hmm. Namor didn't get his original movie. Hopefully he does. Well, actually, I don't know. There's some controversy about that dude.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
But staying on topic, Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle.
I think it's exciting that it's a new young actor. I know he's been in things before. I forget his name.
He's the guy from Cobra Kai.
Xolo Maridueña. We just practiced it 5 times. I know he was in Cobra Kai. I'm excited that new people are coming. That's just something with getting older. I sometimes have to remind myself that I'm in my 30s and there's going to be young people that are like becoming public figures. Mm-hmm. But it is cool to see new actors, new creatives, new writers and directors getting this opportunity. I I think it's the first real shot at like actual Latino superhero. Actually, that's not true because Moon Knight. But our friend Joshua had complained that we stole Moon Knight from Arabs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's starring Oscar Isaac.
I know Joshua Watt.
Yeah.
He's Olive our friend.
Yeah, that's what I said. Our friend.
He just said
Well,
that.
I don't know. You said R. It sounded possessive. I don't know. Anyways.
R.
So that's all I'm gonna say. I'm excited about it. I didn't watch the trailer. I don't have a strong interest in superhero movies. Also, I feel like whenever it comes to superheroes, I have the wrong opinions apparently because like I like things that most people don't like. I like the Eternals. I like Rogue One, even though it's not a superhero movie, Star Wars movie. I like that movie.
Rogue One.
Rogue One.
Isn't that the one that ruined everything?
No.
Oh, I thought it was.
Thinking of Han Solo.
Oh, I thought that Rogue One was the one where they like made the girl super powerful without her having to like work for it, like Luke.
No.
We're getting into a different conversation.
That's the most
You're right.
recent trilogy.
I don't know anything about Star Wars. I hate Star Wars altogether.
No,
so.
Rogue One was a standalone film.
kinda just-
It's within the universe of Star Wars, and it's part of the history of the movie's setting. But
We're not going to talk about Star Wars. We're
an
talking about
isolated
Blue Beetle.
story.
Got it. I also don't really watch superhero stuff, but this dude came into my purview. I don't know. This guy came into he did a sway freestyle.
Really?
Yeah, he
What's
raps.
Oh, that's cool.
He did a freestyle on the radio.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, Sway. Okay.
Yeah.
Sway in the morning.
But Zolo? I don't know how to say his name.
It's Sholo.
I'm so sorry. Sholo rapped on there. And he's a rapper. He can rap.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't really see too many actors doing that kind of stuff.
I'm excited for it. Blue Beetle has a particular like place in Latino contribution to nerd culture because technically the original Blue Beetle was not Latino. The current storyline for the current version of Blue Beetle has been the canon in DC. I want to say since like 2005, maybe earlier. It's relatively recent, but it has been like several decades since then. It's one of the first, like, it's an acclimated character, but it's, I don't know what anyone's opinion is about descending mantles, but like he didn't replace the original until recently. I think originally he was handed the mantle, but it's kind of in the same vein of like the Green Lantern. Anyone could be the Green Lantern because the ring picks the person.
That's what I think happened.
It's not something that's given
I
up.
saw the trailer for it, and that's like what happens. Like this thing comes to them, and
it's like
it doesn't do work for anyone except him.
Honestly, sorry to cut you off. Honestly, the vibe of it is like Power Rangers vibe of like something from space picks the nearest.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I think that blends well with the movie from what I've seen because they give off like a Power Ranger. Like his suit kind of looks like a Power Ranger uniform. He has kind of a dopey head. They animate his eyes with CGI, and I think a lot of people think that looks weird. It is technically comic book accurate, but it looks like anime eyes, which is a little weird. But I think it blends well with I think it's going to blend well with the humor of the film.
Okay. Like I said, I don't know too much about the comic books to like know whether it's accurate or not. But I'm probably gonna watch it.
We should watch it.
Yeah,
we should watch it for the podcast. And like I said, I'm happy for the people that are excited about this, for the people that it matters to. I do think these things are important and they should exist in the world when it comes to like entertainment and representation, especially superheroes, especially like what it means to people growing up. And like, because I don't want to make this all serious, but it's like we remember what it was like growing up. And I don't know if you've had this experience, but I remember like playing with a group of friends and being like, oh, you can't be that character because that's a black character or that's a white character. That's like whatever, like you can't do that because you're not that thing. So it's like, well, what options do I have? Right. I want to be Wolverine, but I can't.
You have some shitty friends.
Yeah,
Me and my friends just played and
They're
had fun.
called the world.
But I do think like those kinds of things are important. Like for kids to be able to have that is really cool. And then just also, I understand, like, even if it's not kids, and I don't want to call comic books and like superhero things like for children, because I know that there's a lot of people that grew up investing their interest in time and energy and money into this hobby or passion, however, whatever it is. It's like people spend a lot of their life caring about these things. So I understand that it's like exciting and important for these people.
Yeah,
That's
like
cool.
for me, I don't like that sentiment because it's I don't know. I know it's maybe a silly thing to say, but for me, it's like when you criticize people for liking comic books or animation, it's like you know that an adult came up with that, right? Like even if it's directed at children, somebody felt a connection to this idea they had, and they put effort into creating it into something more than just like a doodle. Like, you know, that's also somebody's like mind child, like brain child. That's somebody's idea and concept that they felt
For sure.
passionate about.
And while I do think there is content that's specifically for children,
Right.
like the Wiggles or something like that.
Like an adult obsessed with the Wiggles is probably a little weird.
I do think that a lot of stuff though is like generational more than it is for like kids. Like they were kids when the
Right.
stuff came out, but they grew up with it and like it stayed a part of their lives. Like there's video games that are like that, and I think video games in general are like that. Like we used to look at video games like a thing for kids, then it became a thing for like teenage losers, then it became a thing for like man boys, and I'm like, it's the same group of people. They're
Right,
just getting
like-
older. They just play video games.
Like if there wasn't adults obsessed with Superman, he never would have joined DC and become a comic book. Like
Right.
for things to progress, there has to be people who are passionate about those things.
Yeah. So that's cool. I'm excited for you guys. I haven't seen the trailer yet. I guess it looks cool.
George Lopez.
I think he plays the main character's uncle.
Yeah, he's like going to be a lot of the comic relief. It seems like.
Nice.
Which is weird. I feel like, I mean, I don't want to dismiss that. Definitely, you know, nor do I want this to feel like it's based on the recent climate with George Lopez. Nothing to him, but what I've seen whenever a comedian is put in like that is like their acting is very heavy-handed, and I don't feel like it's because of their choices. I feel like they're being written
For sure.
to be, and for me, that can take away from the story. I hope not.
Right.
You know, I don't think that it would. If they do that, I don't think it's 100% on.
When
George
I
Lopez.
first saw him, I did think that it was in light of the like he's like, well, I got to get good with the Latinos
Right.
again. But I'm like, realistically, this movie was probably being made way before
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
So I kind of canceled that out for myself.
There is just a thing too of just like George Lopez as a figure, and big ups to him for accomplishing what he was able to accomplish. But there is a thing of like, I said it in that episode where we talked about him, and it feels like for a lot of the younger people, and now what's interesting is that we're seeing people even younger than us that are like the whole thing with Ralph Barbosa of him being like, I don't really fuck with George Lopez like that to begin with. Like,
Right. So that
you know,
was
he's a
never really
younger
into
guy.
the
He
show.
didn't really grow up or care about George Lopez. For a long time, there are people that are more in our age group that are a little bit older that like whenever like truly it's become like whenever somebody in the Latino community like has it come up, then they collaborate with George Lopez as a signifier.
Right. Yeah. It's
Of
like it's a milestone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And honestly, I'm kind of glad that people from the culture are able to be put into the position where they can hold back other people from the culture, you know? The fact that he even had that ability is good. Sorry.
What's the next question?
Yeah, what's the next question?
The next question is a little weird. I mean, not weird. Okay, let's just get to it. This is from David Nunez, also from the Patreon.
What's up, David?
He asks, I don't know if you've already seen it, the Disney movie Elemental, but it has a good theme of dating outside your culture, and I wanted to see if you could expand on that, either personally or in general.
Has anybody seen that movie or a trailer? Because I've only seen like ads for it, but I've not seen like an actual.
I've seen the trailer.
I've also seen isolated clips of the overall story. Those like TikTok part 1, part 5, part 10 things.
I don't know. There's a couple things about that question where I think it leads to of like, is your experience in dating in someone else's culture, or does it have to do with a thing like family? Because it's like the only The thing with interracial dating that for me has been a thing historically is just like there is a difference, and look, I know everybody gets on my back about like being anti-white. I'm not saying this is anti-white, but there is a difference between dating like a person of color and dating a white person. Just like in general, there are things that come with like I've dated black people, I've dated Arab people, I've dated Asian people, and there is a difference in like learning about their culture, and learning about, particularly with black people that I've dated, is like learning how like you have racial biases essentially.
Learning how you have racial biases.
Yeah, I'm using the proverbial you.
Okay.
As a non-black person, but there is just like an inherent like familiarity of like knowing what it is to not be white in a white space, and like knowing what a non-white experience is, and having like that experience. There's some type of like level that I can connect to, that I can know that if I ever experience this thing, I've dated white people where it's like I don't think that they're bad people. The way that I see it is this: I'm a man, I'm a cis man, I'm a straight man, you know, rock
Solidarity.
on, brother. But the way that I see it is like any woman can come to me and like say that like men treat them differently, or like they have a pattern of experience when they're out in public. They get catcalled, they get they get condescended to.
Guys are douchebags.
Yeah, right. And
are we boring you?
And when I was much younger, I used to kind of like either not get it, or I would argue against it or stuff like that.
You were the douchebag.
I was a douchebag, and I still kind
Hey,
of...
sometimes everybody's a douchebag.
Yeah.
You're a douchebag.
Stupid. I'm not a perfect person, guys. I don't claim to be. But the thing that I'm trying to say is like...
I mean, he eats mustard.
What is this with you of like, there's just these non sequiturs,
has
like they
nothing to do
don't
with
have
mustard.
anything to do. They don't have anything to do with anything.
It seems like it doesn't have something to do with it. To somebody who loves mustard.
What's the deal with liking mustard?
Don't start with this. But that's how I see it, of just like being somebody, like as a man, and knowing how like I've participated in, or how I just experienced, people have an experience outside of my own, right? It is a thing where like, and that's also why I understand that there's people, like I've dated people that are like identify as non-binary, or that are bisexual, and there's just like an inherent like, there's a preference to prioritizing dating people with their similar experience, so that they don't have to go through the rigmarole of like,
I understand that.
you know.
Personally, I've never really been in a relationship that has gotten to that stage. I've had like one major long-term relationship, and even then, half of it was long distance. So I've just, as far as dating wise, I've never been put in that position. But I do, have friends of different races and cultural backgrounds, ethnicities and nationalities, and I have been put in an identical situation, in the sense of like visiting friends' homes or going to events with someone else's family. And I mean, for the most part, it hasn't really been negative. But it is kind of a thing, like, the most I've honestly ever experienced, and not to say that I'm not saying that this is how it is for everyone. I'm saying that my particular situation hasn't given me the context to properly elaborate or expand on this subject, in my opinion. But for the most part, it's just like, if I if I come off like I don't understand something they do because it's based in culture, or if I talk about something they've never experienced because of my family's situation and culture and tradition, then it's just like a little awkward. But for the most part, I've never been in the position where I had to like defend myself or like elaborate in a context that was like received negatively.
You just reminded me about something that I really do not like. Maybe this is me being hard-headed, and I am fully willing to accept that fact, and that just might be something that I have to challenge in myself, for sure. But it is a thing of like, I feel like people of color are not afforded progress. Like they don't have the benefit, they don't have the privilege of progress sometimes because of class issues, because of for lack of a more specific term of colonization, of like why people go into brown cultures. And even if we talk about things in terms of like, not even just like colonizing countries, but also just like in current, setting the current status quo of like, this is what it's like to be proper. And then like over time, white people, there's a lot of things where progress is tied to class and education. Mm-hmm. And there has been less social mobility for non-white people. So like in a lot of countries and in a lot of communities, it seems like they're behind socially and like when it comes to certain things. And it's like, it just is like, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but it's like, it's not your fight, like it's not your place to like critique in a way, because it's like a lot of, I remember there was one time I was at a farmer's market. I used to work at a farmer's market, and I was closing up my stand, and there was a guy that was selling coconuts. This black guy was walking around with a cart selling fresh coconuts, and like he would cut it open for you and give you a straw, whatever. He was wearing a shirt that said, or he was wearing a shirt with Malcolm X on it. And he was like a super friendly dude, just had like a big ass Malcolm X shirt on and like super friendly, talking to everybody, selling his coconuts, whatever. This British dude that was passing by on a bike stopped his bike, turned around, and came and was like, "Oh, mate, I hope you have a Martin Luther King shirt to go with that as well." And he's like, "What?" He's like, "I hope you have a Martin Luther King shirt to go with that. Like that's a movement I can get behind." I don't know why he turned like Southern and Australian.
Because you're bad at accents.
Listen, but my point was, I was like, the guy, it's not my place to jump in and defend this dude, or even to feel that he might need to be defended. That they had their own conversation, and like the guy did handled it the way that he wanted to handle it, whether it was an issue to be handled, right?
Yeah.
But for me, I was like, fuck you, dude. Like, to be a white British dude talking about what the appropriate like social movement, political movement that you can get behind is so fucking out of touch, like tone deaf to me. To be a British white dude, to be like, you're not personally held responsible, but for a white person, not just a white person to tell a black person what's acceptable, but for a British person to do that is fucking crazy to me. Because it's like, it's American colonization started with British people, and like modern slave, like not modern slavery, but American slavery started with British people. So for a British dude to tell a black guy like what things he can get behind is like, that stuff is crazy to me. It's like, it's not your place to decide what the appropriate movement is. That's a whole social thing that like I was getting into, but I just mean like from that perspective of like, that's what I'm talking about when it comes to like dating like white people and dating. And that's why I also understand when like I've met like queer women or queer people that like, they really prioritize being in queer relationships, because it's just another thing that you don't have to deal with, of that communication and understanding. And I don't dissuade anybody from dating white people or any of that. It just is something that, and also I have to say, like, for not everybody's relationship cares about any of this stuff. Like for some people, they don't see it or they just disagree. Like they make it work just fine by not thinking about all these things, and they don't have those conversations. And if that's you, then that's cool. Do your thing, you know.
You're making it sound like that person doesn't care, though. Like, I date white people, and I'm not.
But yeah, some people don't care. That
I'm not going to
truth.
be like this fucking slavery. Like that's not. That's weird. That's weird energy to me.
No, but it is like what I mean is like
this person didn't do anything. They're just living their life.
No,
what I'm talking
sorry,
about.
That's why I was staying quiet this whole time.
No. What
like
I'm
white
not.
people.
Okay, to your point, Josh, is like I'm not talking about hating, like being angry and upset and like hating somebody and like being like fucking slavery.
No, but you were.
Like,
I mean, just to see if I'm understanding what you were saying, it sounded like you were saying that you don't have a kinship because of a lack of.
No,
like you're against this person.
No. What I'm saying is that. What I'm saying is, it has been of somebody that thinks about these things, that thinks about societal challenges, and that speaks openly about my own societal challenges that I face. It is an added layer of interacting with somebody that is white. And I don't say that I hate white people or that I prefer. There was a time there for sure. I'm going to be honest. There was a time where I was like, all right, no more white people for a minute. Like I have to prioritize like being with people of color, because that was kind of the mode that I was in, that I was just like, I need to be able to experience these things and talk to people that understand where I'm coming from. I'm not in that present mode. Right. But again, none of this is to say like
I understand. And that's what I was saying. Like, I think it might just be, I'm like a little dense on this because I don't actively think about those things. They just, those kind of, like, I was about to make a joke and be like, Jesus, like your fucking dates must be, I don't talk about that kind of stuff.
I mean,
I talk
that's
about
the
movies and what's your favorite breakfast.
But I mean, truthfully, it's just like that stuff does come up in conversations with the people that even like people that I meet online or that I meet in public, is like, these are conversations that I do have, and that we talk about things like that. People are very socially or politically driven.
For sure. I went on a date with a black girl recently. That sounds weird. I went on a date with a girl recently, and she's black, and she, it got mentioned white, like she was like, oh, she was telling a story about something, and she was like, they're white, but that was it. We didn't launch into anything. It was just an understanding of like, oh, I get it.
Right.
Like they're not.
There's a short. That's what I'm saying.
I get it.
There's a shared understanding.
I get that. I get it.
Yeah, I've shared this before,
but I love white people.
I've shared this before, but it was a similar experience of like, this wasn't something I was super involved in when I was younger, but that didn't mean that there weren't out of high school, I started gaming a lot, and I became part of this online group. I joined a Discord group,
cool.
And it was not something that came up often, but there were moments where, for the first time in my adulthood, I had to acknowledge that I was the only brown person in this group.
I've dealt with that before.
Yeah, and that's part of like, and it was a thing of like, there's been moments where things have happened to me where, you know, partly like similar to what Dominic was saying, if you've never had to experience that as a person of color, like great. But as someone who has, like, whenever I would get online after having, like, there were a couple of times where I had a shitty day in public because one instance in particular was this white lady followed me at a store because I was wearing a hooded sweatshirt and I was like the only brown person in that store that day. When I told my in real life friends and my relatives who are like me and have shared experiences, I got a different reaction than when I mentioned in the gaming group, because the gaming group didn't know how to respond. Mm-hmm. And so I was treated like I was bringing everybody down. Right.
That's kind of how I treat you guys.
Yeah. Let me sum up what I was saying.
Okay.
Yeah. With a quick story that from my friend was that she was telling me that this guy broke up with her. She's Persian and Latina. And she was dating a white person. She was involved in Boyle Heights during the height of like gentrification and
She's Persian and what?
Latino Ecuadorian.
Smart people.
Yeah, but
She's on fire.
but she was part of the anti-gentrification movement in
Okay.
Boyle Heights, and she wasn't even complaining. Like she was not complaining about things. She's just talking about what she deals with at work and like dealing with her day to day. And this guy broke up with her because he said like, you just bring me down all the, like the stuff that you're talking about is too heavy. And like, I feel like a lot of guilt for what you're telling me. And again, I have to clarify, like this is not coming from somebody that is complaining or that it is literally just sharing about like what is going on in the world and what they're dealing with.
I understand.
And so that is kind of sums up the experience of like that I'm talking about is like there's this extra layer of like being able to communicate. And so like for me, it's like I understand that those conversations are going to happen, and there are plenty of times where I'm interested in a white person, and I have to be like.
It felt like you were uncomfortable just saying it.
It's because I was going to say white woman, but that sounded weird. So, but it's like there's been times like I've been interested in white people, and like, you know, I have to be understanding that these things might come up. Mm-hmm. And I have to be prepared for that. And you also just have to be the same way again that like as a man, I have to be willing to hear when women complain about men or even just talk about men or misogyny. I have to be able to take that in and have conversations with them about it and be able to listen to those things amicably. Like I need that from a person that I'm dating as well. And real quick, because I think the Elemental movie is about like,
Oh yeah,
families, the differences in family.
I do also think that's partly like what the initial question was asking, and that's why I was trying to address like I've never faced that as far as dating, but I have gone I had Filipino friends growing up, I had Chinese friends growing up, I've been to their houses. It was a different environment. Sometimes I felt awkward just because my family was in comparison more laid back, so it was a thing of like
right. It's funny because I've experienced the opposite of that because I grew up with a really conservative family, and I would go over to my friend's house and my friend's parents would be really lax, and I would be like fish out of water, like can I use the restroom? But
blow it up, homie.
I saw I saw the trailer for Elemental, and I didn't get exactly that it was like focusing on interracial dating so much as the message from the trailer that I got was to accept people for their differences, like accepting different people and like inclusion.
I mean, from the clips that I've seen,
belonging.
I don't think it's necessarily a metaphor for interracial, but more cultural difference of like
that's
even
kind of
if
what I
like
picked up on,
even if it was like two white people, like someone from America dating someone from England and visiting England.
And I didn't even think it was that like hard on the subject. I thought it was more like, well, you might have a goth kid. You know what I mean? You gotta accept the goth kid.
It is a little bit more
weird.
situational, but it is part of the story in the sense of like, someone whose entire world is surrounded by fire, visiting a house made out of ice, and like there are things that come up. So I do think it is applicable, and I understand what the person's asking. To kind of summarize it, so we can get to the next question.
Right.
Also, what I was going to say was, don't look at these movies. They're such hard to make one for one metaphors for anything.
Right.
So like you can't hold these things to like. I don't know. It's a starter conversation, but the same thing that happened with Zootopia, where it's like became a thing about like comparing about like racial tension and cops and stuff like that, and it's like. It's not a perfect metaphor.
Not just that, but like it's not that deep. Like they're making a kids movie.
I mean, I think that's part of what we're saying of like it is an accepted part of that reality, but not to the extent that that's the only thing the movie's about. You know what I mean? It's not. At the end of the day, it's a movie meant for children.
That's what I was gonna say. And usually the message at those is accepting people, and loving people unconditionally, kind of a thing.
which has been the message for a really long time. Like, Jesus.
If you had all the resources, this question is from the Discord. It's from Jojo Sia.
Shout out Jojo Sia helping me with D&D stuff.
Oh, there you go. If you had all the resources at your disposal, what creative project would you want to create, i.e. book, movie, TV show, video game, etc.? What would it be about? But I want to combine this with another question from Alas Earwax, which was, before comedy, was there another thing you guys strived for?
I'm going to let Ryan answer this first.
So I think those two questions can kind of be shoved into one thing.
Shout out to Last Year Wax.
Shout out to Alas Earwax.
Potentially, I could see how they coalesce. But to address Alas's question first, no, I've always wanted to do this.
This podcast?
No, comedy.
Comedy. Well, because the question was like, before comedy, was there?
Podcast serves comedy.
I don't think there's video of it, but literally, like, it's a shared story with my immediate family. They would do mini graduations at my daycare to just acknowledge that you were getting a year older. And when I was like 7,
He went up and did a type 5.
no, they're like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I said, "A stand-up comedian," like word for word.
Nice. I went for the laugh when I was a kid. They went around the Thanksgiving table and asked all the kids what they wanted to be when they were older. I said, everyone had regular shit, doctors and lawyers and all that garbage. I went for the laugh. I said, crash test dummy. Killed it at Thanksgiving.
That's why you're bald?
Yeah.
What do you, if you could have any money?
As far as the research thing, I mean, if I could have the money to do, the way I hear the question is like, is there a project you've always wanted to accomplish but don't have the means to right now? Yeah, I don't think that I'm the best writer necessarily, but I come up with these stories sometimes. A lot of it is influenced by like my ADHD, and like when I get into music, I start visualizing stories in my head that go with the song. And so for like 4 years, I was working on this idea for a comic book that originally was going to be called Jukebox Hero, and the overall concept was like, it's a very particular story. It's not a musical necessarily. It's just like I won't go super deep into the plot, but it was about this
Assassin.
Yeah, this like vigilante assassin who had to fight against this corporation of assassins who were directly involved in the death of his mother. But because of how I was coming up with the story, one conceptual thing that I wanted to include, and the reason that it's called Jukebox Hero, is because the theme of each issue was going to be directly related to, or indirectly related to, the song that inspired it, and the song that inspired it would have been the title of the issue.
I say this as a not to diminish what you're talking about. This is a legitimate question. Is this like John Wick meets Baby Driver?
Yes and no. Like, the reason I said that I would only worked on it for 4 years is because certain aspects of it sounded like those two movies that came out like a couple years apart. I think even within the same year. And so it would kind of like killed my momentum that someone had a similar idea. And I was like, I don't want to make something, creativity is always derivative, but I don't want to make something that's so close to something else that it feels like I'm knocking it off.
I was thinking Kingsman and Agent Cody Banks.
Oh, I never saw Kingsman.
I like that reference, but it was less comical and more just like, I would put it in a tune with like the Umbrella Academy kind of style, like
Okay.
3 in my head at least. I haven't had conceptual art for it in a long time, but very like punk rock style, like designs and stuff.
For me to answer the question, before I was doing comedy or podcasting, I really wanted to be first I wanted to be an author, and then I wanted to be like a filmmaker. Because for me, like I wrote one of my senior thesis. I had like a bunch of senior projects. One of them was like about passions or something. I forgot what it was, but like I wrote a whole project about just communication, about like how important communication is to me. And like that's still true. That's why I love doing podcasts. It's like I love being able to express myself and hear from other people. And so when I was in high school, I originally wanted to be an author. I was a really big fan of Kurt Vonnegut, and like a lot of his styling I feel like influenced my writing style. And then when I started to like, I was about to graduate, I started like becoming interested in photography and music. And I kind of realized that like, oh, like filmmaking is kind of all of the arts in one. Like it's visual arts, it's performing arts, sound arts, storytelling, all that stuff.
All of it.
Yeah. You bitch. So I love. I don't really watch movies that much anymore, but like, it's still part of me. I have a script, the short story that's like 11 pages that I really want to produce, and I was going to produce it right before fucking the shutdown happened, and then I ran out of money, so I couldn't produce it.
Man.
If I could do that project, I would want to. But to be honest, this is kind of a cop out. But like for me, one of the things I'm most passionate about outside of comedy is this podcast. Like if I had all the resources, or if I just didn't have to worry about money, I would be putting so much more time and energy into this podcast. Cause like, and I want to say this, I'm thankful for all the support that we've had since the beginning of this show, even since Isimo, like podcasting has been great, and I love to do this. And I'm proud of like what we've been able to accomplish this whole year, but like I just know I want so much more for what we do, and not being able to put in the time and energy that is required for this podcast to grow, because we'll see when we get these bumps and blips, up, and that's when I'm able to set aside the time to like really focus on the podcast and like spend time in it. I won't go too far into this, but like it is just like the thing that I love. And if I had to not worry about resources the way that I do now, I would be putting so much more energy into this and truly letting this thing grow the way that I think it should be. And this on a more positive note of like to not everything be so serious. For me, I feel like right now I'm just in a mode where I have so many things to worry about, and it is just what it is. I don't feel bad about where we're at right now. I think it's just the beginning, and I want to say thanks to anybody that's out there that is been with us since Isimo, been with us since, whenever you've joined us on TikTok or on Instagram, if you're in the Discord, if you're on Patreon. Thanks everybody for supporting us, because like this is my real passion. Like outside of doing comedy, this is what I want to be doing. I have like such big plans for us.
What's the next question?
Usagi Pie asks,
Usagi Pie.
I swear.
Can we just say Usagi Pie?
No,
it's funnier.
No.
Can you ask your boyfriend if that was a joke?
They did. It's not a joke. They named them that because it's cute. It means
Usagi Pie has been around.
Like that.
Usagi Pie is an OG on the Discord.
It's fine.
And I will not allow anybody to disrespect them.
I think they're one of our moderators.
They're one of the
they would
moderators.
think it was funny.
Yeah, they're a great long-term fan. We love them, and I am sorry that I said Usagi so many times, but it does sound like that's the bit.
I think it's funny.
Nobody cares what you
Usagi
think,
Pie
Josh.
sounds
just
cool.
Just be behind the knobs, okay? Don't use your brain.
Push the buttons. No, I don't want to be dismissive.
I'm sorry, I
He's a
love
big
Josh.
It's okay,
Yeah,
don't
we love you.
Josh is such an integral part to the success of this show. We saw what happened last week.
I wasn't gonna say it. I was gonna say it, but then I didn't want to say it.
We tried to comment out of it. It was just,
It
Put some
won't happen
spec
again,
on
no.
that name,
Yeah.
dog.
Usagi Pie
Thank you.
should be spelled with 2 O's. Usagi Pie asks, if all of you guys were a cookie, what cookie would it be and why? So I'm a little
Do
confused.
we all
on
have
this
to be the
question.
same cookie?
Are we
or
one
can-
cookie together? If we were all one
I
cookie,
think it was.
Okay, there's
Let's
3
do-
answers. Hold on. Now this is becoming interesting. There's 3 answers, okay? Are we all one cookie, right?
right.
Are we all like a pack of the same cookie? Because those are 2 different things. Or
Are we
are the
individual
individual
cookies?
cookies?
I think we should answer them all.
That's 2. What was the
No.
third?
No, the third is
He's
is
saying that
if
there's
we
a
are
difference
one
between a single cookie. Like if we were all together, we'd be a snickerdoodle.
fuck snickerdoodles.
I'm just saying
So how is there 3 answers?
because if or are we a pack of cookies.
That's
like a
two
certain,
questions. How is that three
The
answers?
third one is what are we individually?
What are we individually?
So then what's the first question?
What are we all together as one?
So then what's the second
Ryan,
question?
are you
What's
fucking
the-
who's on firsting me right now?
No, he's not.
The best way to break this down so that I can understand, because neither of you are getting what's confusing me, is to tell me the question to the answer.
Okay, so let's do the first two. Let's do the pack one last.
The first is what are we individually?
I'm a sugar cookie. I'm a
So
regular
yours, David.
regular cookie, and then sugar coating of deliciousness on the outside. Soft, kind of, a little shortbready. That's me.
You know who has the best sugar cookies? Subway.
No.
Yes.
7-Eleven.
No.
Wrong.
Oh, actually, he's right.
No, he's not. It's my great aunt from Texas. She makes the best sugar cookies in the game. They're little and they're great.
Tell her to send me some, dog.
I will. I think
Until then, it's 7-Eleven.
7-Eleven has great sugar cookies.
7-Eleven is good food.
Subway sugar cookies reminds me of like the pier for something like a beach. I don't know what it is. There's something about the smell and taste of a Subway sugar cookie that like sets off something in my brain that reminds me of like the pier at the beach, like specifically walking under a pier.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Smells like piss.
I don't know what it is.
Piss and copper.
I don't know what it is. My
I like a
cookie-
Subway cookie. Their
I
white
think the
chocolate chip
worst
macadamia
sugar
cookie is
cookie-
fire.
The worst sugar cookie is McDonald's sugar cookies.
Yeah, they're
I've never
bad.
had I only eat the
I
chocolate
like
chip
sugar cookies.
from McDonald's if I ever get a cookie.
The question is not what is my favorite cookie.
Right. The question is, what are you?
Is what cookie am
See,
I?
that would have been a good third question.
That
Weirdo.
is-
Ryan, we already have 3 questions.
That
We
is
got
the
it.
third
I
what?
want to say that my cookie, the me cookie, is the chocolate chip cookie.
Cranberry raisin.
But stop, interrupt. I'm not done. There's more to it.
Chocolate chunk.
A traditional chocolate chip cookie, but only like a minute after it's been out of the oven. When it's not hot anymore, but it's still chewy.
Okay.
That's the cookie I am.
You think you're that highly of yourself?
Yeah. I would if
You don't
I
think
was,
I'm soft and delicious?
if I was to guess
No,
what cookie
I
you were,
hate you.
I think you would be the peanut butter cookie with a chocolate kiss on it.
Gross.
Yes.
I feel like that's a
No.
cookie you are.
I know what cookie I am. I said what cookie I am.
That's-
What are you? A mustard cookie? Go away.
No, he's a biscotti.
A muscati. 'Cause it's got mustard in it. It's got mustard seed in it.
I can't argue with the biscotti.
I feel like you have real biscotti energy.
You're like that
I would
pistachio
be.
dust coated biscotti.
That's what I was gonna say.
yeah, that's
I
what I was
would be a
thinking.
biscotti that's like dipped in chocolate and then coated with pistachios. That's the cookie. Fuck.
The reason
You
that I
guys got
picked
me.
the reason that I picked the cookie that I picked is because it's not for everybody. Everyone thinks that they like it, but sometimes there's the people that will eat only that and always that, and then there's the people where maybe it hurts their stomach.
That's why I chose my cookie too, because I think I'm a cookie that everyone is like, no thanks. But then once they have some, they're like, this is good.
And people
Right,
are
like, I
usually
think-
right on about their opinions about pistachio covered
I think that-
biscotti.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I like what you said because I think the concept of a sugar cookie seems too simple, so people think they won't like it. And they're like, no, there's actually
exactly.
that. Especially the ones that have like that little like aspect of like it's a little bit buttery.
Oh yeah,
It's the best.
That's what I was saying. That's a little shortbready.
I will agree with a biscotti dipped in chocolate covered in pistachios. My original thought was chocolate chip oatmeal cookie.
I could understand that.
That feels self-deprecating just because I know you don't like oatmeal.
And also, like old people like you.
yeah, old people do like me.
And kids
I'm
are
very
like, "Ugh."
popular at work. Little kids. I mean,
The weird kids like.
Wait, raisins or no raisins?
no
Chocolate
raisins.
chip
no
instead of
raisins.
raisin.
Chocolate chip, specifically chocolate chip,
Okay, all right.
not raisins.
Now, if we were a oh man, I wish Ricky.
If
was
we
in this
were
question.
a collection of
wait, can we give Ricky a
Nutter
cookie?
Butters.
Nutter butter for Ricky?
No,
I think we're Nutter Butters.
no.
That's fine.
If we were a cook, if we were a
Yeah. If we were a type of cookie,
if we were a type of cookie, if all of us together were a pack of cookies,
that was a
famous
joke.
Amos,
Try to self-deprecate.
I'll go with
joke.
that.
famous Amos.
I love me some famous Amos. So
Famous
and that's
Amos.
California grown. Can we give
Famous
Ricky
Amos.
a cookie, please? Because he's
Can we
not
give
here. I want
Ricky a
Ricky.
cookie?
Ricky needs to
Lorna
be a cookie.
Doone shortbread cookie.
I was gonna
'Cause
say
he's
like
so short.
I get it.
like Milano's.
Oh, dude.
oh, he's
Ricky.
a short-
Dude, yeah, that's good.
Cause shortbread
Ricky-
with a streak
Shortbread
of chocolate.
with a streak of chocolate.
Ricky is a Milano.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Ricky.
That sounds kind of
Milano.
insulting.
Patrick's
You
Farm
Milano.
memories. Oh, that is a thing. He's a Pepperidge Farm Milano's pack.
Yeah. I totally get. I get that energy. I get that.
Yeah.
Hopefully, he doesn't hate
Okay.
those cookies.
Now we are.
How could you hate a Milano though? Oh man.
Now we are all one cookie.
Right.
We are one singular cookie.
Now I get it. See, that's what I'm saying. You have to adjust the question so I understand. You're saying we're literally one cookie. We're all the components of one cookie.
Basically, I
Yeah.
think the question kind of is like, if the show was a cookie, what would it be?
One of those weird fucked up chocolate chip cookies with pretzels and peanut butter
Yeah, I can see that.
things.
I was going to
in
say
it.
those.
Oh, those.
They were one of those fucking.
Hold on.
I was going to say something else.
What were you going to say? Just while he's.
I was
Oh,
going
now
to say
he's
those
in front.
like those sugar. It's a type of sugar cookie, but those like discolored like holiday sugar cookies.
Dude, the holiday
Those are
cookie.
The
chocolate
ones you
chunk?
get at school lunches. It's like shortbread with like very thick sugar coating on top.
Oh, okay. Oh,
It's
you know what
hard-
else we might
Holiday
be?
shortbread cookies.
Okay. You know what else we might be? One of those white cookies with M&Ms in them, and then the M&Ms bleed into the cookie.
Ooh, I like those.
You know what I'm talking about?
You know what we are? We're an M&M cookie sandwich, ice cream sandwich.
This is hard because we've been
Okay.
picking at this all day.
Yeah.
This is the last of like to show you what the point is. But if we were a cookie, it'd be one of these weird fucked up, fused together. Like they heat it up, they got soft, and then they put them in the fridge, and then they fused together. So we had a literal stack of cookie, like 7 cookies just stuck together.
An
that
actual cookie sandwich.
Yeah.
They fell apart because we were trying to pull them apart.
we've just been picking at it all day.
Whatever.
What's the next?
The next question is from Carlito's Way.
Hell yeah. I already talked about this. I know that this exists as a restaurant now, but I had the idea first that I was going to open up a food truck called Carnitas Way.
Oh, that's funny. His question is, what's your relationship to nature, and do you incorporate it into your daily life?
Not as much as I would like to. I do think it's very important to be in nature. It's important to go to the beach, go to the desert, go be amongst the trees. As humans, I think it's very important for people to understand how small we are. There's something very freeing about it, about like understanding that you are part of nature, like you were talking about earlier, Josh, of like, I am
Beavers.
human, I am nature, I'm a beaver.
I think there's no choice. Like, I don't think you can remove yourself from nature.
I mean, you
Everything
can,
do-
like, you
this
can-
is not. This is nature.
Let's just like on a spaceship
No,
That's
well,
nature.
in the future.
Listen,
Why does the future have anything to do with it? No, it naturally. This is our natural environment.
but you understand what the implications of the question are, unless you're really tying like being in.
I do really tie. Being, no, I'm just joking.
I understand. Here's my thing is like a lot of modern culture and society is rooted on the thought that like you're measured by your accomplishments and your value of your life, not the value of your life, but the quality of your life is valued is based off of accomplishments and capital, like resources essentially that you accumulate, right? But like the thing that always tripped me up, and I had to go through this during like 2020. Like I took like a stark reflection like of it. Was like there's fucking tribes in the Amazon that don't give a fuck who the president of the United States is. They don't care who. They don't think about.
There's people in this country who don't give a fuck who the president is.
No, but I mean, like they don't know. Like there's like,
right.
there's people that are just like there's
They
obviously
just
there's stuff.
exist.
Facts.
There's stuff that's going on in other countries that we just don't know about. True, but there's just like people that like don't know that like
The world.
Yeah, and they're just living their lives
and they're
and
again,
surviving.
Yeah.
And you think that those people are like animals.
No. That's not what I'm saying, because I had to be careful last time we talked about this too, and it's like I don't want to romanticize like indigenous or like tribal living or whatever. Like I don't want to romanticize that because like I reference like people in the Amazon.
My people.
Right.
It really is. That wasn't a joke.
Yeah. But because there was a video that I saw on YouTube that was like people visiting what are they called? Uncontacted tribes.
Yeah, there's some you're not allowed to go see.
Yeah, there's some that you're not.
I think is wrong.
They're straight up.
Give them pants.
Well,
for the love of God.
No, to that point, it's like we see them like they live on their own, like they make their own clothes, they make their own habitats and stuff like that. And then it's easy to say like, oh, this is how we should be living. When like I was seeing this video when they're like talking to these people. And they're like, no, we want clothes. Like, give us clothes. Like, give us medicine. Like, we want medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they were. So like,
I've tripped out on some of that uncontacted tribe stuff because, like I said, that's where my people are from. So like, every now and then I'll go on like a little deep dive of the Amazon tribes. And like, have you seen the video of the dudes throwing their spears at the helicopter that's flying over them?
No.
There's like a video of these people who were like filming the areas. And you can see like the tribes, like a tribe of people, and they like spot it, and they're like scared, and they start throwing their spears up to try and hit the helicopter, but it's too high.
Yeah,
and they're just like, what the? They're like tripping out on the helicopter.
Yeah, I mean, it is just
crazy.
a thing of just like I'm not saying that is the way to live, but I do see of just like, hey, like all this other stuff is extra, dude. Like all of this other stuff that we're living through right now, like it doesn't need to be. It's not as important as like your brain makes it out to be.
I get what you're saying from like, hey man, we should be living in the woods, man. But that is a fridge. And that thing's awesome.
No, but what I'm saying is like it is important to understand that.
I'm saying you give any of those tribesmen a week in Vegas, and they're gonna be like, this is the greatest place on the planet Earth. There is no, because listen, like I'm not saying that they're animals and I'm not. I think humans are animals, and I think that we are part of nature, and I think that structures and electricity and like technology, cool, right? It is cool, and they are useful, and they're benefits. I'm not saying like we shouldn't have these things, but what I am saying is that it is important for people to not forget that we are still part of a larger ecosystem. For sure. We're still part of the world. We're part of nature, and it is important. We've detached from like living in the lands. I think that there's a benefit to becoming part of the earth in a way that I don't think humans currently live in general. Again, I'll say what I think that we don't have a choice. And I think that it's our ego that separates us. And we start going, I'm a person. I have a table. I'm not like horses.
I mean, I think technically, in a way, you're both saying the same thing. The idea of like,
I think so too.
When you try to separate yourself from the literal like
ness is what I call it.
Yeah, the idea of that you are still part of the ecosystem even if you've evolved is just a disillusion. Like
Facts.
that leads to decisions that affect not only your environment but you in the end run. Like
I'll agree with you guys on this. If you want to agree with me on this, that there's people who have a lot of money who benefit off you believing that this place is not nature. Sure, I'll agree with that.
I do think that there's something
it's still
good about going camping and going to the beach and
we
going
should do that.
to the desert. We should. I do think there is a thing. There are benefits to being in nature in that way. And how I'm defining nature is outside of city living, outside of technological living. Nature. But I'm just saying, for the point of this conversation, being out camping, being out in the ocean, being out in the desert. Among the elements, right? That is important tool. That is an important tool for shrinking the ego, and that's why I think it's important.
Because you realize that you're not above it; you're a part of it.
Right.
Yes. So we are saying the same thing.
Told you.
Now that
What's the
we
next question?
are not above it and we are a part of it, what is your... I was going to try and tie it in. I hated the way I did it. Sorry. Okay, next question. Celestial Bench.
What's up, Celeste? Also, shout out Celeste. Has a great podcast. The name escapes me.
But it'll be somewhere probably, maybe.
Celeste has a really fun astrology podcast that everybody should check out. I highly recommend it.
So what is everyone's zodiac sign? Or big three if you know it. I don't know mine.
Mine's Virgo. That's all I remember.
Celeste, I'm going to have to send you my chart in the Discord because I forgot. I know that my main one is Capricorn. Everybody knows that.
Capricorn, Virgo. Do cusps count? Because I'm a Leo Virgo cusp.
I think they do count.
But Leo is...
How do you feel
I don't know
about
much about
astrology?
I know we have a lot of people who listen who do believe in it. Okay, and I'm I have to always lead with I'm a nihilist. So I don't think anything affects anything. There's only been 2 arguments in my brain that have ever made logical sense to attribute to astrology, and that's one: magnets have a force field and they affect things outside of just the magnet. They're rocks. It's an earth element. It's charged. The other argument was that we're mostly made of water, and the moon affects the water. It affects the tides and stuff.
You sound like a witch.
Well, I'm just saying that those are the only 2
In my
arguments
head,
that
it's
I
like-
ever heard.
You got to keep the mic at your face, dude.
I just did right now when I started talking.
You're talking louder. This is the closest the mic's been to your mouth the whole episode. Good.
What were you going to say about
Like a
astrology?
drumstick?
I don't remember because I have ADHD and you cut me off. That's how that works.
So those are the only 2 arguments that I've ever heard make any sense.
I'm not going to try to change your mind, but one, astrology is fun.
fun. Sure, it's fun, totally. But it's just the thing when people start telling me how I am.
But two, I've told this
okay.
before, and I do think there is something to the way that you've experienced your life in terms of like when your birthday is and what culturally what you experience, like how you prioritize your life essentially based on seasons. Because like if you associate your birthday in September and it's around like school starting, I know that this doesn't go, like I understand the study of astrology is hundreds, thousands of years, whatever. But I think there are things about like people's personality based off of when it's time during the weather seasons change, during harvesting seasons, cropping, planting crops, or
What are you saying changes? People's attitudes?
I'm saying that the way that you experience life, like if you start your life in January versus starting it in September,
Right, I understand that.
You're
I
coming at
understand
a
that.
perspective from different seasonal changes. Like my birthday is associated with the beginning of the year when people like I feel like people that are like in December are like reflecting on the year that has come, that has just like come, that is coming to an end, and it's more reflective. But in January it's a lot, and in December that comes with a lot of planning and a lot of looking forward. But now in January is when like now you're starting to execute plans, you're looking forward into the year. Capricorns have a reputation for being like very like pragmatic, forward thinking,
I just
organized, stuff like that. And I do think that there is something about like the way that society lives in general and how about like seasons change.
But I don't think that's actuality. I think that's perception. Like
I mean-
if birthdays were supposed to be a secret and no one knew their birthday and you didn't tell the person what their birthday was and everyone celebrated life on one day, the first of the year, then I don't think you would have like
we'd have a different system though.
But yeah, like in that same vein, I think that's
birthdays
part of
are
what,
made up.
I think that's part of what Dominic's saying is like there could be a social, I don't know if social ecological is the right word, but societal consciousness and an effect on that is understandable. But I mean, and this is more towards what I feel is like, I can understand how that the timing of everything can affect people because of how it's structured within the society that we live in. Outside of that, I feel like sometimes it could be overly generalized in the context of this is how, regardless of how you actually are, this is how I'm going to perceive you because of these contexts that I have about you.
Regardless.
I
said it once.
My issue with it
Stop.
is more of a physical thing about like the placement where you are in the universe when you're born isn't the same place you are when you have a 1-year birthday. Like the solar system is moving, and so like I don't know, your placement being what drives your emotional and like your mentality, it seems like a bit of a stretch to me.
Such a Leo.
Okay, Last Earwax has another question and says, what artist, singer, band are you listening to the most currently? What kind of music do you want to explore?
I don't want to speak for Dominic, but I do feel like, at least for me, I don't really register music the same that way. Not to say that I'm like different or special because of that, but what I mean is like, and I've said this before, I can't help but only like the song the way I like it. So like, I can like multiple songs from one particular artist, but I don't really follow artists that way. I don't really follow genres that way. I kind of just collect songs that I like. So I don't want to say that I'm one of those people that listens to everything. I don't think that I listen to everything. But when I find something, I keep it and I memorize it in my head like a filing cabinet, which is an autistic thing. So someone I'm listening to a lot right now is Karuk, just because they have dope vibes, and their song "Snake" is a great hype song. He can deny it all he wants. He jams out to it when it's on.
I don't. I put it on because you like it, and I like to be like.
It's good vibes.
Supportive brother.
No.
Oh,
Sure, he does.
I
You can't say you don't like me and say you're supportive in the same episode.
can. That's what.
that's funny. Okay,
It's like a. It's
You're
like
boring.
what's the dude name? Not Lawrence Fishburne. What's the other guy? James Earl Jones. That fences play that he did was like, he doesn't pay me because he likes me. He pays me because he owes me.
what have you been trying to get into more? I have an answer for both of these.
What music have I been trying to get into? I mean, I'm just trying to get into new music, like young people, like literally just like young people, like making music, like new artists, emerging artists. Because I've, being 31, I'm already like
I get it.
out of touch and like not
So
know-
like TikTok artists and stuff like that.
not just TikTok artists.
You should check out Karuk. There's this
Fuck
young-
you, dude. No. But younger artists in general, I just found out when I went to go shoot pictures for Dante Elefante, there was the headliner was a band called Archer O, which is like they're from Moreno Valley.
Tight.
They're a cool band. They're like I was pointing east.
You are.
They're cool dudes. I mean, I didn't meet them, but like their sound is cool. They have kind of like heavily influenced by like the Strokes, but more rock and roll and like more like heavier. Cool dudes, and like I'm trying to think of there's Cool by Aaron. There's Tezia that I just started listening to. A lot of like what I'm trying to get into is just figuring out who like new emerging artists do, because 10 years ago, when I started like curating shows, because I don't know if you know that, but I used to do like a lot of DIY shows. So like I was there, I was aware of like local scenes when there was the switch from like guitar bands to like synth pop bands. Like Hamburger Records was doing this like real lo-fi surf surfy kind of music.
That's kind of the stuff I like.
Yeah, and that stuff is cool, But I saw that transition into like real like gothic music, synth music. Like people got tired of guitar bands.
Synth pop is cracking right now.
Synth pop is cool, and then pop and rap started becoming like. I think people don't realize how like the emergence of like pop music, not the emergence, but I just mean like it wasn't until like 2014 that like pop music and rap started to become like really respected
In the community that you were in.
No, I mean in
Because
general.
I grew up, like I said, I grew up with all black friends.
Yeah,
And rap
you're
and
right.
hip-hop has
No,
been
you're right.
things
You're,
that
no,
never
yeah.
went away.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
No, I know because I have a sister and she also got into those rock scenes and those fucking ska kids.
Ska is fucking
Yeah,
sick,
exactly.
dog.
And those kids didn't like hip hop because they're racist.
But I mean-
against black people.
Ska music is about
look,
racial unity. Okay.
Between different Latino communities.
No, here's the thing, but I mean like on a mainstream level, like rap. I don't think people realize that on a mainstream level, like truly rap and pop music hasn't been. It was only as popular as it is in recent years, like in the last.
30 years.
No, when I'm talking about mainstream music. I'm not talking about.
So am I. When was hip hop? When was like rock?
I remember
doing
being in
better
high
numbers
school.
than
What?
rap.
Rock music?
Yeah, like you're talking
Like
about like early.
2006 to like 2010.
What?
When
about, like,
when
the-
bands like Radiohead and Arctic Monkeys and like that was the
Anytime I cut on the radio, it was always hip hop. So I don't know. Maybe it was the local. Maybe it's an area thing, like where I grew up.
I don't know. Maybe it's, in my experience is like on a mainstream level in terms of like respect and appreciation for like festivals. When you start to look at festival lineups and you start to see festivals like Coachella and FYF and Governor's Ball
Okay, I understand
and
that.
Sasquatch, they didn't really have artists like Beyonce or Kendrick or Kanye.
Right. It wasn't those scenes.
That wasn't part of like
And then
the scene.
well, by we I mean hip hop took over.
Yeah, hip hop
sure.
took over. Hip hop took over in a big way. Rap took over in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
Post 2010, that was very.
I think
new
it's kind
for
of
the
weird
industry.
to say too, though, because hip hop and rap is one of those genres that just consumes other genres. Like
Yeah.
it's a sample based genre. So like even the same thing with like pop music, it just takes whatever is popular and turns it into a 4/4 beat.
Yeah, but all that to say, who am I
Right.
listening to a lot
Yeah,
right
sorry.
now?
Your butt.
Dante Elefante, as always. I don't know. Follow me on Spotify. I make playlists periodically and just put them up.
Oh, nice! I did not know that. I link in the description.
Yeah.
I've been listening. I've been in Always. I've been slapping Always, dude.
I don't
Or
know what that
Always, but it's spelled with 2 V's.
Oh yeah, I say all face too.
I say Always. But man, they go hard. And stuff I've been getting into. Acacia Strain just dropped a new album.
Casey Strange.
Acacia Strain.
I don't know who that is.
Okay,
It's like some hardcore punk stuff.
Oh,
Pretty aggressive. Sludge metal.
I'm not into that.
I'm into it. It's cool. That's what I've been trying to dive into a little more though. That and what you're saying too, like hyper pop, the new the stuff the kids are on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hyper pop shit is tight. Okay, Hext1666 asks, what advice could you give to the graduating class about life?
There's a couple of phrases that I learned in my 20s that I take with me and I try to remind myself of. Don't ever let a nickel hold up a dime, okay? Like, don't. It's easy to let a minor inconvenience block you from doing something that is going to have a major benefit. And so, as an example, there was a guy named David Lyons who's a location manager in the film industry, and he was working on Norbit. But he was telling me this story about how they were going to be like a month on this location where the home base had to be at the bottom of a hill, and where they were shooting was at the top of the hill. And in order to get to the top of the hill, they could only drive a van up, and it was like a 20-minute drive. And it was very complicated, and it was eating up a lot of time in the shoot day. If they needed something, it was a huge pain in the ass to get crew, the cast, producers, everybody up and down that hill. Then one day, everybody's frustrated about this, but they're trying to bear with it. And then one day, David Lyons is looking. He's at home base, and he's looking up the hill, and he's like, "Damn, like the set is right there, like right up this hill, and it's not that high." And he's like, "Is there any way we could like make some stairs to just? It would be so cool to just be able to go up the side of this hill." And so he talked to the producers, and they talked to like the carpentry or construction or whoever's department is responsible for that. And the carpenter was essentially been like, "No, like it's gonna take so many men, and it's gonna like whatever." Like, and then they were just like, "Okay, well, how many people do you need?" And he's like, 8 people. It's gonna take 8 people. And he's like, "And how long is that gonna take?" And he's like, that's a 2-day job. And so like they did the math, and it was going to come out to like $20,000 in like labor and resources. But then they did the math of how much time that they were losing coming up and down the hill, and how much time they were going to have to add to like rent out the space. And they were going to, I don't remember the exact amount, but it was an exorbitant amount of money. And so they were saving like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
2 days
Just by taking 2 days to build the stairs to go up the hill. And they were like, $20,000. Just make the fucking stair. Like, just do it.
Right.
So again, don't ever let a nickel hold up a dime. Like do what it takes. The other thing, and this is about work, right? But I don't want it. This is not about giving your life away to a company or not taking care of yourself. But one of the most important things that documentary filmmaker Doug Prey told me was take your job seriously, not yourself. And he's saying that as a filmmaker, of just like, don't be afraid to do what it takes to finish your project. If you're an artist, you know, your job is to promote your art. Don't be afraid to put your art out there, to ask people to like your stuff, ask your friends. You're not too cool to promote yourself and to put your art out there. If you're a cameraman, don't be afraid to like go through the crowd and get the shot that you need to get
right.
Whatever. Like, don't be afraid to do the thing that it takes to get the job done. You're not too cool, like, and it's gonna benefit you in the long run. If you can stay with your parents, don't be embarrassed to stay with your parents for as long as you can, as long as you're working towards your goals, and save your fucking money. If they're not charging you rent, find out what kind of place you want to rent and figure out what your share of rent is going to be, and save that money, at least part of that money. Stay with your parents for as long as you can while you're pursuing your goals, because you're going to find out that your resources, the way that a job spends money on labor, that's your biggest expense. Just being alive, your rent is going to be your biggest expense, and you're not going to be able to really go for the things that you want to do if you have to worry about paying your rent. I understand people want independence. I understand that people want, like, you turn 18 or you finish college and you want to be away from your family.
You just want to be free.
You want to be free. I get that. But we don't live in this society that supports people that want that. I promise you that if you figure out a system, listen, there's a case for everybody that is an exception to the rule, that it's the best thing for you is to leave home and be independent. And I totally get that. But truly, if you have a passion in life and your parents are allowing you to stay at home and for you to be able to save money, really take advantage of that, and don't be embarrassed that you're staying at home with your parents.
As long as it's a good environment. Don't keep yourself in some kind of crazy situation.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
$1.
That's what I'm saying. Like, don't keep yourself in somewhere that's gonna be harmful to you.
Right.
But truly, like, and look,
but it's gonna feel that way sometimes, even when it's not. It
is gonna feel that way, even if that's what I was about to say. It's like, you're gonna butt heads with your family no matter what. It's your family, but really, just like, it is such a huge benefit. A lot of the people that I see that are successful now that are young are people that like they're doing shows or they're making big moves and they still live at home with their parents. And that is like a huge benefit. If you're in a position where you're able to take advantage of that, I highly encourage you to do that. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be too cool to stay with your mom and dad. Facts. You're gonna see when you leave, and then now you're stressed out about rent, and like it's a huge hindrance on your progress. It can be. Take advantage of any help that you can get, truly, and make it known the help that you need.
Yep. You have any advice for him?
Build a fort.
That's right. It's more along the lines of what I was talking about.
Yeah. Everyone should build a fort. Forts are fun. Build a fort.
Hell yeah. If I was giving any advice to the kids graduating, it would be make mistakes. Mm-hmm. Make as many mistakes as you can, because that's how you learn how to not make mistakes. You got to make mistakes.
And if you're doing it on purpose, it's not a mistake. Don't do that shitty thing you're thinking of.
One thing, I kind of summed it up, and I want the last thing to be somebody on camera.
All right, yeah.
I was going to do that if you made it this far.
Yeah, let's just say one more thing of just. I say this a lot, and this kind of it ties into all the advice that we've all given. But truly, if you're passionate about something, just find a way to keep doing it. Stick with it. If it's something that you truly feel passionate, and the other side of that is like, it's okay if your passions change. You can start over, you can start new, and that's cool too. But if you're able to stick with something and find a way to stick with something, as long as it's the thing that you're interested in, I've seen so many people that have just found a way to just keep doing it. That's the trick. Is just find a way to keep doing it. And like, I've seen so many people that have found success through that. So keep going, guys.
If you made it this far, what kind of cookie are you?
That's a good one.
That's a good
and
question.
from us, ser un poquito.
Don't fly.
I listened to a Roger Waters from Pink Floyd.